Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs, and today you guys, we are here for part 2 of the In Love Art Shop DT project share. As I mentioned in my previous video, they contacted me and asked to see if I wanted to collab, and they sent me some dies. They allowed me to choose a few dies, and so I did. Just a reminder, you're going to have a discount code for 15% off in the description area down below. Hopefully you guys find my project inspirational. I will also have the links to the dies that I've used in this project. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the dies now that I've got to use them. Okay, so without revealing too much of what I've done with my project just yet, you guys. I'm going to let you kind of hold on to that for a second. These are the 4 dies that I received. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right off the gate, out of all of the dies, there's only one of them that is my favorite, that cuts like an absolute charm and gave me basically no issue, no problem at all. Can you guess which one? You're probably right if you chose this one. This one right here, which is the spiral pattern decor frame, cuts like a charm. It cuts beautifully. This was this was the basis for my inspiration. And I mean, it cuts absolutely beautiful. I love the pattern. And you can make the page as long as you want, which is awesome. So you only really cut right into the top, and then you can make this as long as you want. So I use this quite a bit throughout the projects that I made. So this is the one that cuts beautifully. It cuts like a charm, and you can basically use it from the side, from the top. I mean, any angle, and I think it will look awesome. You can also do from the top, and they'll also pass it again and do it in the bottom, and create a beautiful paper with a beautiful shape and pattern to it. So yes, you guys. Now to the other 3. I had tons of issues with these dies right here. Okay, let's talk about the first one. For this one, I was able to get it to cut through one time. I got it to cut through perfectly, and I used it. I'll show you guys how I used it. For the most part, we have all of these little teardrop kind of swirls happening here. The little teardrops, for the most part, they did cut out okay. So you guys can see that. All the little teardrops. Let me see if I can get a piece of white paper. Daisy. Here we go. Alright, maybe that'll show a little bit better. Yes. So all the teardrops themselves cut out nicely. The issue came when it came to nearing the bottom, okay, of where these swirls came into place. Especially with some of the thinner swirls, okay. The reality is it didn't cut through all the way through. And this is just regular kind of cardstock paper. This is from a paper pad. It should really have no issue cutting through it. It's not really thick cardstock paper. It's just regular lightweight cardstock paper. And I had tons of issues with that. All the circles, all the teardrops, they cut out fine. Again, when it came down to the little swirl, that it's just too narrow, or it's just not raised enough towards the bottom of the edges, and on some of the thinner swirls, there's just not enough edge on the die itself to cut through the paper perfectly. You have to put a lot of pressure on it. So if you have this die, or if you're gonna purchase this die, what I would recommend that you do is put a few pieces of cardstock over it before you run it through, so that it can really try to cut through, you know, all the way to the other side. The machine that I do have is a little bit older, so that could be part of the issue as well. But I ran it so many times, and I turned it in every single direction possible. I even flipped it upward. And again, I was still having a lot of major issues with that. That's why a lot of these, they only cut out but a certain amount. They didn't cut out all the way through. All the way through the other side, they didn't cut out. See, like towards the middle of the sections, it was just not really doing it. And it was like that throughout the whole entire die. So usually when that happens, it's the die itself. It's not really your plate, because it would have cut, you know, in other areas, but it's the same thing no matter where, in which part of the die it is. I'm experiencing the same issues. So this is too thin, or the die itself is just not made for the intricate design that it is. It needed to be a little bit higher on the little cutting bridges. Okay, So that was my issue with this die here, and this is the curl pattern die. Okay. Issue number 2 with the other one. That has kind of like a, not a similar pattern, but it also has somewhat of an intricate design to it. This one's the rectangular floral pattern. Okay. For this one, I experienced the same thing. And this is a smaller die. And again, I put it all over my plate. I did just about every single little trick in the book. I was able to use it, but I had to go back into it with a razor, with a blade, basically, not a razor, with a blade, and I had to go into it and try to get some of the details out because the outcome is so thin. It did snap in a few places, and I was able again to use it, but I don't really foresee myself using this die that much because of that, because it especially around these little areas here, it's so thin. It's so easy for it to break. So yeah, I wasn't really too thrilled with the rectangular floral pattern, but I was able to use it nonetheless. If you're gonna use it, I'm gonna recommend the same thing. If you've already purchased this because you've seen it in another channel and you're like, oh my god, I love it, make sure that when you run it through, you probably put some paper. Again, it could just have been my die. So I am gonna contact the lady and just let her know about the issues that I'm having with the dies so far, because it's just crazy. And I cut other dies of mine that I have just to double check and see if, like, okay, maybe it's my machine, maybe it's my plates, maybe it's whatever, but my other intricate dies cut just fine. So I don't know. All right, and then this one was the square border with hearts, with love hearts in it. And when I picked this out, I absolutely fell in love with it. I was like, oh my god, it's so pretty. I love it. I can't wait to use it. And same deal. I'm going to try, well, it didn't really want to cut through on paper. So I'm resistant to try it on actual chipboard and see what it does. But I'm going to go ahead and try it out at a later date. I'll let you guys know. But again, these little narrow areas are so thin. I do have one here to show you. Oh, here it is. It falls apart, you guys. It's so thin on the little edges. And it's so pretty too. But because it doesn't cut all the way through on all the areas, it makes it a little bit difficult to kind of see the pattern all the way through and through. And on this side, I had a lot of issues, as you guys can see. It kind of basically started to fall apart on me. Like, it would cut really aggressively in some areas, and then in some areas it didn't cut as aggressively. And again, rotating the dies, so on and so forth, and just making sure that I was able to get it through. It cuts the shape out beautifully. As you guys can see, there's no issue cutting the outline itself. The issue lies with the little thin lines, that connect the frame. And the same issue applies to both of them, okay? This one did cut out a lot better than the larger one. So the smaller one did cut out a lot better than the larger one. So I'm not sure. The die itself looks like it has really pretty decent grooves on it, especially in the heart areas. I see that it's a lot deeper in the heart areas than it is along the borders. So maybe that's something that they have to correct on their ends. I'm not sure, but I will let the lady know and give her my feedback on these. But I was able to complete the project, so yay for that. Okay, so I'm super excited about what I'm about to share with you guys. It's been quite a while since I've actually done some paper crafting, so that's one of the reasons why I decided to join this, the collaboration, if you will, be a part of this collaboration and design team, because it got me back into doing some type of paper projects, but in my style, in my way. As I mentioned to her, I do mostly mixed media, and she said, great, we want variety. So I'm like, okay, cool. So without further ado, let me show you guys what I did. And I was recording the process, but unfortunately my daughter fell asleep in the background and we can hear her. So I'm like, okay, let me just do a project share for now. But hopefully I'll be able to fix that and maybe do a voiceover and show you guys at least the majority of what I did with this project. So I made it sea themed again because when I saw that die, it reminds me of like waves and like ocean waves and things of that nature. So let me grab a piece of white paper so you guys can see right here the beautiful pattern that you're left with. Okay, I will recommend that if you're going to use this for anything other than just laying it on a piece of paper, that you double it up, okay? Because these little things right here, they're very thin and they're very frail, and they can snag really easily. I had a lot of issues with that, but not because of the dies themselves, just because of my design and how I was putting things together. I kept snagging into it. So just make sure that you reinforce that and you cut out two and glue them together so that it's a little bit thicker and won't tear on you so easily. So let's go over what I did here in the front. So basically this is like a double pocket or a triple pocket, I'm going to say, um, type of crafts. I'm not really sure quite what to call it, but if you have a name for it, give it a name down below. I would really appreciate it. So what I did is that I decided to make pockets out of these dies here. I decided to use them and turn them into some kind of a pocket. So I went totally mixed media on this whole entire project. What we have here, let me go over some of the paints and mediums and things like that that I used. I used, let's see, we have some glitter and some of this, and also some of the golds. So I used Treasure Gold, which is a folk art paint, absolutely yummy gold color. I used some of that throughout this project. I've also used some of Decor Art's metallic paints, and I used it in the ice blue as well as the crystal green. I also started playing with one of my new products that I received from Decor Art, which is the Galaxy Glitter, and it's black hole. So I used this in one of the projects I'm going to share with you guys where exactly I used that. I also used a little bit of this Americana gloss in white, but I used it, I watered it down and used it kind of like a watercolor. And I'll show you guys where I use that. And I also use that to create the splashes. You guys can see I still have paint and stuff all over my hands. So I also did some stamping. So before I did anything, the first thing that I did is I went into it and I did some stamping, okay? For the stamping that I used Stazon, I used Archival and Aquamarine, as well as Leaf Green. I also used in the color Coffee, and I also used it in the color Deep Purple, okay? So those are the color inks that I used. And as far as the stamps, don't look at my chocolate cookies, you guys. Let's see, where did I put it? Let me just pull it out of here real quick. Give me a second. This is a stamp set that I purchased quite a while ago. Oops. I just put all of these little things back. And basically I used the little fishes. I used this one right there. Well, let me just take this part here just to show you guys this part. So I used the fishes. I used some of the seaweeds that are in here, and I used the coral. And basically that's all I used from this stamp set, and that's how I basically decorated and embellished this project. So let me just put this back before I lose my pieces. Okay, so that's what I used for to stamp all of this out. Okay, for the word, I used the word believe. And again, this is one of my dies that I have from before, and it's a two-piece. So it gives you the background as well as the word. Okay, and I used that there, and I used some Deco Art Glamour Dust in the color gold in order to kind of, you know, just give it a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of shine. Okay, I also used on the background, which is why you get so much iridescence. I don't know if you guys can see. There you go. You can see some of that shimmer, some of that shine. I went ahead and grabbed a little bit of the Galaxy Glitter in Clear Ice Comet, and I mixed it with some Deco Art Triple Thick because I really wanted it to have that really nice wet look afterwards, which is why it's so shiny and glossy like that. It's because I mixed Triple Thick, which is a gloss glaze, with the Clear Ice Comet, okay? And that's basically how we achieved the look in the front. And again, I did some white splashes with some white acrylic paint. And for this, All I really did was basically layer the pockets. Okay, I layered the sections, so we have 3 sections. This one, I cut these 2 together so that it wouldn't cut through the back, and I could just have just the shape of it. Okay, I was actually kind of worried. I was like, please don't cut through both sides. But I was gonna back it up anyways. So that's what I did just to get the impression here. So you guys can see that. And to add more of that water feel, that sea theme that I was kind of going for, I went in with the white acrylic paints. Again, this is gloss enamel paint. And I just added a little bit of water, mixed it with a little bit of water, and then I just kind of splattered it on. And again, created more splashes and just added more splashes so that the splashes kind of traveled throughout the entire theme. I did go ahead and paint over this part of it a little bit more with the white just to continue to give that feel of the wave that I was kind of thinking about in my mind. And then in the back, again in the top, I just did the same thing and added some of that white acrylic paint all along the edges, kind of watered down, just so that I can get kind of like a frothy kind of look to that. So with that, we have 2 pockets. Okay, let me take this part of it out, put this over here. And then we have a little thumbtack, a brad in white. And because I had cut out so many pieces, what I decided to do is attach it on a swivel so that it can kind of, you know, pull out from the back, okay? And everything is matted, if you will. And with this one, I again proceeded with the stamps, the same exact stamps that I used here, and the colors that I just shared with you guys. And I added some of the little fishies. And basically, you can add yourself a little cute little note here, or whatever you like. And then again, it's another little pocket, so you can add something else in there as well. So this is what I've created with this die. Where is it? With this one, I was able to create all of this, all of these different pockets using the spiral pattern decor frame die. And I think it came out really cute. And again, it kind of swivels out. Now, for my inserts, you guys. Yes, because of course, you know how that goes, right? We cannot just create pockets without creating something to put inside of our pockets, right? So for my pockets, let me bring this down. We've shared this part. For my pocket, the first thing that I created was kind of like a little index card. And for this index card, what I have used is this curl pattern with this curl pattern die, which is what you see in the background. And again, to kind of interrupt some of that pattern and allow you to kind of see the mermaid, because the color scheme of the mermaid is very similar to the color scheme of the paper in the background. Again, I watered down some of that white acrylic paint and just kind of added it around her in a very loose kind of fashion, just so that it kind of looks kind of frothy again, and just is not like overwhelming on the on the background itself, but you can still definitely see both of the elements. And for the mermaid, what I have done is that I've chosen this mermaid die right here, which is one of my favorites. These 3 mermaid dies are my favorite altogether, but this one's really my favorite out of the set of the 3. And what I did with her again is that I went in with some watered down Decor metallic paint in green and crystal green, and also I used some Jayne Davenport's watercolors, and I used the green, and I also used the skin tone color just to kind of blend it in a little bit and give it a little bit of a duller kind of skin tone, so just to give it a little bit of a mix. So I used the green with the skin tone on to create her skin. Okay. To add the colors and the accents to this, I did 2 layers once again, and on the bottom layer, I made sure that none of the little bits and pieces were removable. So I double backed it with just some washi tape in the back just to make sure that everything was nice and set, and then I glued everything and made sure that everything was not going to be falling off. And then I took the 2 layers and I glued them together. Okay. For her hair, she's got some treasure gold in her hair, as well as some glamour dust just to give it a little bit of shine and glimmer. And again, I proceeded to just sporadically add the two colors, the two main colors, which was the blue and the green, and then with the accent of the gold behind it. So I painted the tail completely in gold on the bottom layer, and then on the top layer, I just added some of those colors to the top just to give it, you know, a little bit of contrast here and there. And I think she came out absolutely gorgeous. Then I just add a little bit of the blue on the seashells that she's got for a bra or for a bikini top or whatever you want to call it. But this is what she looks like. And I do hope that you guys can see her well. And then it's just matted on the back. Okay. So I used this die to achieve that look. And then the last thing that I did, I incorporated the small square border with Love Hearts nesting die, which is the small one right here. And I incorporated that into the pattern with this one, okay, which is the rectangular floral pattern. Okay, so let me show you guys what I did. I also, for this that I'm about to share with you guys, used Jayne Davenport's stamp. So let me see if I have it here, because I know I left it out. This one right here. And from this stamp set, all I used was this little mural area right here, which is a little hard to see right now. And this one, let's see, that's the item number right there, which is 328,817. Okay. And this is what I did. I did a little card. And basically my whole idea for this is kind of like if you're sending somebody some happy mail or, you know, for something of that nature. So again, keeping it with the same pattern paper, I stamped her in with some Stazon ink. Okay. I used some of the Treasure Gold to do her hair. I used some of the Black Hole Decor Galaxy Glitter in the background to kind of fill in the spaces and make it look like it's night and there's all these stars twinkling. With the background, since I already knew that I was having issues with these dies, I put the paper in the bottom to be cut, and then I put another piece on top. And what ended up happening is that I ended up embossing the one on the top. So I'm like, that looks perfectly embossed. I'm not going to toss that. I'm going to use that. So what I did is, if you guys can see, the embossing that happened on the back. There you go. You can see some of that. And then what I did is I took a little bit of the Treasure Gold and I just kind of rubbed it and buffed it out a little bit. Okay. Now I used the small frame, the heart frame, and I glittered it up. And I also added Treasure Gold to the frame itself. And then I added that to the front. Okay. So I stamped that directly onto the embossed area. And then I just used some Decor Art in the blue to go around it. And I added some watercolors in the inside. And I used some of the white to kind of just brighten her skin up a little bit. But I wanted her to still kind of have a resemblance to the mermaid that was in here. So she was once a mermaid and now she's out of the water. It's kind of like what I was thinking, which is why I like this one, because she's got her legs out. And it's like she's catching some air. She's going for some air. And she's got the same blue bikini top with the seashells. And I left that blue with the seashells as well. So I thought it kind of tied it all together nicely. And then on the back here, we see the full pattern of what this looks like. And again, it's broken right here along the side. It's broken right along there as well. Some of the little bits and pieces are a little bit fuzzy because, again, I was having such a hard time removing the tiny little bits and pieces off of it because they didn't cut all the way through the way that I would have liked for it to have cut. So I was having a lot of issues with this, but I'm still satisfied with the result overall. But it took me quite some time to work with these three specific dyes, just because of the intricate nature. And again, I tried it with different papers and different ways of putting it in there. This one I rotate to all four sides, and I put them on different parts of the, of the platform of the cutting board, just to make sure that it cuts well. Then I rounded the corners off, and I distressed them. And then on the inside, since I had so much ink left over on my table, and I also had some of the black hole galaxy glitter, I watered down my brush, and then basically I just applied a little bit of that color, that watercolored color, and some of the little bit that was left of the galaxy glitter, and I just added it to the corners here in white. So you have a nice little note area to kind of write a cute little message. And this one you can put it, you can stick it in there. So you can put them in there. You can also put this in the back pocket here. And that is my project share with all the projects, with all the different things that I was able to create, utilizing the dies that I received from InLove Arts, right? InLoveArtShop. InLoveArtShop, right? I believe that's what it's called. InLoveArtShop. Hopefully I didn't say that wrong. And hopefully I got that right. It's my very first project, you guys. I do hope to be able to bring you more. I cannot wait to see what else I come out with. And thank you all so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. One last thing. I did go over this image here with triple thick just to seal it all in. And that's why she's nice and glossy and has that really pretty wet look. See how she catches the light? Super pretty. I am most likely going to be doing the same thing to this area here and just kind of glossing the whole thing up so that it all has the same look as the folder itself, the little pocket itself. So these are my projects, you guys. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next one. Don't forget to check that description area for links to the store, links to the items, as well as a discount. Bye!